Hey noobs, Mr. Frog here. The wait is finally over, and Subverse has officially ended its early access and has entered into a full 1.0 release state. In addition to the conclusion of its main story, this comes with a host of updates and changes to the game that range from small visual tweaks to massive overhauls of the combat system. I do want to preface before we get started though, that I personally have not played any of the previous early access versions of the game, so this video is strictly based upon the current full release version. It is possible further additional changes to the game may come in the future as well, so please do keep this in mind if watching the video at a later date. If you are a newcomer like me, then you probably are more interested in how the game is now, and if it is worth the relatively higher asking price compared to other similar games out there. If you'd like just the short and quick answer, then I will just say that yes, I do think the game is well worth checking out if you are at all interested. It is certainly not a perfect game, and it definitely has a few areas that could use a bit of polishing, but it does offer an impressive, cinematic, and high quality experience rarely seen with games of this type. Now, for those who may be completely unfamiliar with Subverse, it is essentially an adventure hybrid game set in a futuristic science fiction world where the galaxy is controlled by a puritanical organization called the Veil. In the game, you will play as a former military pilot who is working with a rebel group in a plot to try and overthrow the Veil. In order to succeed in this plan though, you will need to recruit a team of highly skilled specialists. The story is broken into several large sections, with each section generally being focused around exploring a new part of the galaxy and recruiting one of your crew members. Each crew member has their own distinct backstory and reasons for wanting to join you in overthrowing the Veil, which you will uncover as you progress the missions for the section. The story in the game keeps an overall lighthearted tone throughout, with constant jokes, gags, and references parodying other major media and celebrities. Subverse is often well aware of what type of game it is, and often pokes fun at itself as well, with constant fourth wall breaking jokes reminding you that you are in fact playing an H game and not to take it too seriously. Despite this though, the game also has a few more serious and endearing moments as well, as you get closer to each of the crew members and learn more about their past. I was also surprised to see the game make effective use of its villain organization, the Veil, to create an interesting criticism of the damage living in an overly puritanical and shame-based society can have upon its people. The game definitely has a strong story focus to it, and a lot of your time in the game will be spent in visual novel story segments and cutscenes. It has a very cinematic feel to it, and often feels like you are watching a full-on space adventure movie. The story is filled with plenty of twists and turns, and I thoroughly enjoyed the crazy ride it had to offer, and had a lot of laughs along the way. This was only further enhanced by the fantastic sound design and visuals as well. When thinking of games with great voice acting work, it is doubtful you would normally think of an H game, but Subverse shatters these expectations with some truly outstanding voice acting work that really brings the characters to life. Combining that along with the AAA quality fully rendered cutscenes, Subverse offers a high quality narrative experience rarely seen in this field of gaming. Occasionally, the story scenes can go on for quite some time though, so you may want to keep this in mind if you are looking for a more strictly gameplay focused experience. If you do happen to be more interested in gameplay over story, then fear not, as the game does have a decent amount to offer in that department as well. Outside of story missions, you are free to explore around your ship, to chit-chat with your crewmates, purchase upgrades, manage your equipment, and of course, engage in the H content, which we will get into later in the video. Once you are ready to head out to your mission, you can navigate to the map of the galaxy and select a section to explore. The galaxy is broken down into different nebulas, with each having dozens of star systems to explore within them. You can freely fly your spaceship through each star system and visit each of the planets within. Each planet will have different activities performed on them as well, with some being simple events that reward you with loot, and others being gameplay-focused missions. Now, the gameplay in Subverse is broken down into two distinct main mission types. The first of these is combat battle type missions that take the form of tactical turn-based combat. You can select one of your waifu crew members to lead your team, along with 3 different mutants, which you unlock as you progress the game. Each unit has their own passive abilities, actions, and ultimate abilities that can be used during battle. Some units will focus on getting in close to do melee damage, while others specialize in staying in the back and attacking with range. There's a decent amount of unit variety, but I will be honest in saying that most battles feel like they play out pretty much the same no matter what you choose or do. While the combat system isn't terrible, there's a noticeable lack of depth to it, and it does get to feel quite repetitive towards the end of your playthrough. The fights usually go quick and easily enough, where advanced tactics and planning are rarely necessary. Occasionally, in the later segments of the game, there are a few more creative and unique fights that implement some new and interesting mechanics, but these feel a bit too far and few in between. Aside from the combat battles, the other main type of mission is space combat. These missions play out more like a bullet hell arcade game, where you pilot your ship around and shoot down enemies. You can select one of your waifu crewmates to be your co-pilot before each mission, with each waifu giving you a different secondary ability to use. These are a nice touch and offer a bit of flexibility and customization to suit your preferred playstyle, but similar to the turn-based combat missions, the space combat also does become quite repetitive rather quickly. Most of these missions will play out pretty much the same as well, without really much in the way of strategy required. The majority of these missions will just be dodging and shooting down enemies for just 3 waves without any real major evolution of mechanics throughout the game. Some of the later space combat missions do get a bit more interesting and involve exploring unique maps to either stealth around and destroy specific targets, or scan and collect different items, but it would have been nice to see these type of missions more frequently spread out throughout the game. Ultimately, both main types of gameplay unfortunately feel like watered down versions of their respective genres. They are decent enough for an H game though, and the game at least nails it with the main story missions, with the majority of the unique and more interesting missions being the story-related ones. You can pretty much avoid the more repetitive side missions if you do not enjoy them and would rather just focus on progressing the story. The game also does a good job of letting you know which side missions offer unique rewards by placing a marker on the ones that do, so you can mostly avoid side missions if you are not enjoying them. The game rarely forces you to do any type of content that you are not really enjoying, with there even being an option to auto-complete any mission entirely if you fail 3 times. This means that if there is a particular mission which you may find uninteresting, unfun, or even just too challenging, you can simply force fail 3 times and skip right back to the story. Perhaps where the game shines the most though, is with the real content of this game, the H content. The H content in Subverse is plentiful, varied, and exceedingly high quality. The game provides this content in a multitude of ways, whether it be through cinematic story cutscenes, cute and creative unlockable CG arts, custom outfits, dozens of fully animated 3D scenes for each of the waifus, and even an extensive photoshoot mode where you can take pictures of your favorite waifus with tons of different poses, backgrounds, and even filters. There really is a lot of H content to unlock and explore in Subverse. This is mostly done through leveling each of the waifus by selecting them to be your partner during missions, or through just giving them gifts. As you increase their level, you unlock further dialogue options while chatting with them on the ship, different outfits for them to wear, poses for the camera mode, and of course, tons of H scenes for each of the respective waifus. They all have their own devotion quests as well that can be unlocked toward the end of the game, where you get to go on a special mission with them and receive a truly fantastic, fully animated scene as your reward. These devotion scenes are easily some of the best content in the game, so I highly recommend doing these when you are able to do so. In addition, there are plenty of scenes that can be viewed in the game's Pandora system as well. These scenes are mostly simple animated loops, but they are all honestly pretty high quality with a great amount of diversity in types of scenes. The game offers a little something for everyone, and even though the Huntress is obviously the best choice, it can often feel difficult to truly determine who is the best girl. You will probably enjoy something about each and every one of them as you get to know more about them and complete their story scenes. If the H content is primarily what you are interested in, then I have no doubt that you will more than likely enjoy what you receive here. With that being said, even without any of the H content, I do think Subverse provides a truly fantastic, cinematic, and enjoyable experience. While some of the gameplay may feel a bit repetitive at times, it does offer a decent enough experience to keep you entertained throughout its wacky and comical space adventure plot. It's a very ambitious game overall, and definitely contains some of the more impressive visuals and voice acting I've ever seen in an H game. While it may have some areas rough around the edges, it is well worth checking out if you are at all interested. With that being said, Mr. Frog awards this game a strong chug of approval. Have you played this game? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you'd like to see more H-game content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to check out the Mr. Frog stream over on Twitch. Later, noobs.